The man simply ordered a steak at the restaurant, but this ended up causing a divine level with 5 law abilities to break out in a cold sweat. It turned out the man was a notoriously vicious wanted criminal, and Albert was the captain in charge of capturing him. Since today was his daughter Alice's birthday, he had brought his wife and daughter to dine at this restaurant. Worried that the young man might harm his family, Albert chose to turn a blind eye. Just then, a waiter suddenly shouted, "Aren't you Chen Luo, the one wanted by the Empire?" Captain Albert, quickly capture this criminal. Upon hearing this, Chen Luo immediately spotted Albert dining. Under normal circumstances, Albert would not fear Chen Luo, but with his wife and daughter present, he was completely panicked. However, Chen Luo regarded Albert as his benefactor. Without him, Chen Luo would have never known that Black Spirit was injured. Thinking of this, Chen Luo hurriedly greeted him. "Hi, Captain Albert." This scared the waiter, who urgently yelled, "Captain Albert, quickly arrest him." Chen Luo ignored this and casually pulled over a chair to sit down. The next second, he exiled the troublesome waiter to the bar and then looked at Albert playfully. "I heard you've been constantly looking for me. Isn't it enough already?" Albert hurriedly explained. "You are a thief. I am a soldier. Isn't it my duty to find you? If you leave now, I'll pretend I didn't see you." Chen Luo waved his hand dismissively. "That's not enough. I want you to pretend you don't see me whenever you do in the future. Can you do that?" After a moment of silence, Albert spoke deliberately. "Yes." Just as he finished speaking, 4 divine levels from Happy Planet, who were stationed nearby, rushed into the restaurant. To their surprise, they found Chen Luo sitting at a table with their captain. Seeing them, Chen Luo quickly gave Albert a signal. Without hesitation, Albert ordered, "You all back off." The others looked at each other in confusion, then protested. "Chen Luo is still here. We came after receiving the restaurant's report. It's not proper to just leave like this." Albert's expression turned cold. "Don't you understand what I'm saying?" With that, they reluctantly left the restaurant. Then Albert said sternly, "I've agreed to your request. Can you leave now? I haven't eaten yet." "Since when do you chase a guest away before they've finished eating?" Saying this, Chen Luo forked over Alice's steak and quickly devoured it. Seeing Alice's tearful eyes, Chen Luo hurriedly explained, "This is for your own good, my dear. I'm afraid you'll get fat." At this, Albert said impatiently, "Now that you've eaten, what more do you want? And where's Black Spirit?" Chen Luo smiled slightly. "Ah, Black Spirit. He encountered a mysterious black hole while chasing me. I threw him into it, and then he just disappeared." Albert realized, so he entered the Black Devouring Star. No wonder the third prince can't contact him. Chen Luo chuckled. "I'm satisfied with your attitude. Answer me one question, and I'll leave. Tell me where Eugene lives." As soon as Albert heard this, he guessed what Chen Luo was planning and quickly tried to dissuade him. "Eugene is not a small fry. Let me tell you, right now, it's only the third prince's power chasing you. But if you steal from Eugene's home, not only will the entire Volsci Empire pursue you with all its might, but many bigwigs who are on good terms with Eugene will also come after you." But Chen Luo was undeterred. "Don't worry about me. Just give me the address. Don't try to fool me. You know what I'm capable of. Stealing from someone's house is just a matter of spatial teleportation for me." Seeing how obstinate Chen Luo was, Albert had no choice but to tell him Eugene's address. Chen Luo was a man of his word and immediately stood up, saying, "Then I won't disturb your meal any longer. Thanks for being honest, Brother Albert." With that, he went to the kitchen and took away all the fiery cloud steaks. He then slapped a purple crystal card on the table, declaring confidently, "I don't take things for free. This card has 10 million in it. Feel free to use it, and all of Albert's expenses are on me." But when he came out of the kitchen, he found that Albert and his family were already gone. He thought to himself, "Did I really scare off a divine level with 5 laws?" Then Chen Luo swaggered out of the restaurant. Afterward, he returned to his ability space and asked Rice, "If I steal Eugene's enlightenment tree and transplant it into my ability space, will it survive?" Rice advised Chen Luo, "Don't focus on Eugene right now. The priority should be the auction. That's the main event. You need to go there first. I sense there's something incredibly important there. Plus, the Great God certification you've been longing for will also be available there. The person you'll meet is also a space specialist, so don't just run away at first sight. Otherwise, you'll miss the chance to learn." Chen Luo quickly asked, "Rice, is that person formidable? Will I be in danger if I don't run?" Rice was momentarily speechless. "Brother, you're wearing armor and possess 4 laws. Who can kill you in a short time? Be brave. The auction is held in the imperial capital of the Volsci Empire. You must have a pass to enter. Hurry and get one." After dressing carefully, Chen Luo went to the specified location to get his documents. The staff there asked solemnly, "Name?" Chen Luo replied, "I'm Kid." The staff frowned. "I can't find your information. What system do you belong to?" Chen Luo quickly explained, "I became a divine level and then secluded myself for 5,000 years. I only came out to explore the world after gaining strength. I'm a space specialist." As soon as he finished, the staff member became more vigilant. "Recently, a space specialist stole from the third prince. It's not you, is it? Show us your laws for inspection." Without hesitation, Chen Luo displayed his 2 defensive laws of the space element. Seeing that there was no law of void walking, the staff member relaxed. Then, he asked, "What's your purpose for entering the imperial capital?" Chen Luo answered, "I'm here to attend the auction. I also hope to make some friends while I'm here." Upon hearing this, Prince, the staff member said. Congratulations, you've passed the inspection. Don't cause any trouble in the Imperial capital, or the consequences will be dire. Wear this on your chest, and you'll have free access to the Imperial capital, Qianluo quickly assured. No worries, I'm the most honest person you'll meet. Upon his smooth arrival in the Imperial capital, Qianluo casually picked up a promotional brochure for the auction. To his surprise, the auction featured a variety of precious elixirs, 20 sets of armors of varying quality, and even enlightenment tea, albeit only 50 grams per portion. He soon spotted another intriguing item, the Fire Star Spirit. Rumored to be a divine object formed by the dispersal of the fire law in the universe, it was said to grant non-divine level fire element users godlike status, albeit as a false god, with the physical prowess and lifespan equivalent to a divine level with a single law. Qianluo wondered, could this be the rare treasure Rice mentioned? It seems to also have life-extending properties, but the auction's rules state that items go to the highest bidder immediately, not at the end. Getting 1 or 2 items might not be hard, but it will surely cause chaos. How do I choose among all these treasures? I need a plan to take everything at once. Meanwhile, in another location, the third prince stood respectfully before 2 elders. One of the elders spoke gravely. Lei Sane, the last auction was managed by the second prince. Now it's your turn, and it's your first time in charge. Make sure there are no mistakes. The third prince assured them. Please rest assured, I will do my utmost to ensure this auction is a success. The elder nodded and handed him a spatial ring. Most of the auction items are in this ring. There are also a few living items that can't be placed in the ring, stored in a secret room. You'll be responsible for escorting them to the auction venue. The third prince quickly put the ring on his finger. Just then, the second prince burst in, taunting, little brother, are you up to the task? Someone cleared out your house right under your nose. I seriously doubt your competence. Maybe I should take over. The third prince hurriedly explained, that was because I wasn't home. It would never have happened otherwise. But the second prince was skeptical. I heard that the thief did it right in front of you. The third prince's face darkened as he retorted, nonsense. Robbed by someone with 2 laws right in front of me? Are you out of your mind? Do you actually believe such rumors? Just as the princes were discussing, the great prince entered the council hall. The eldest princess of the Draymond Empire will also be attending this time. This is a matter of the empire's dignity. Lei Sane, you need to be careful, he advised. Then, he changed his tone. You're still young, Lei Sane. There might be things you can't handle. How about letting your elder brother manage this time? Hearing this, the third prince was momentarily stunned and thought to himself, what kind of suggestion is this? Being in charge of this auction means legitimate contact with many influential figures. You think I would just hand it over? No way, he firmly stated. There will be no mishaps. I assure you, everything is under control. The second prince scoffed. What if the items go missing? The third prince responded immediately. If the things are destroyed, then I shall perish. Meanwhile, Qianluo checked into a hotel room, contemplating his plan. He thought, if I want to seize all the auction items, I have to act before they're transported to the auction venue. However, he had no information on who would be escorting the items or when. Just then, he noticed a crowd surrounding an elderly man with long ears. Many people were asking him questions. A person inquired, Grandfather Mint Rabbit, how much do you think 50 grams of enlightenment tea will sell for this time? The elderly man, Mint Rabbit, smiled slightly. Based on my experience from the last auction I hosted, the price range could be between 50 million and 100 million. It really depends on the mood of the bidders. Another curious individual asked, Grandfather Mint Rabbit, do you know who is in charge of this auction? Mint Rabbit promptly replied, according to the information I have, this auction is organized by the third prince. Upon hearing this, Qianluo felt a surge of emotion. It really is a small world. Then I won't hold back. As mealtime approached, the crowd around Mint Rabbit dispersed, and Qianluo seized the opportunity to ingratiate himself with the elder. Esteemed sir, have you had your meal yet? Allow me to treat you to a lavish dinner. Soon, they were at a restaurant, and Qianluo generously urged, order anything you like. Please don't be shy. Mint Rabbit, delighted, said, thanks for the warm hospitality, young man. Feel free to ask me about the prices of any items you're curious about. Qianluo didn't dive straight into his main topic, but instead engaged in casual conversation. When Mint Rabbit seemed a bit tipsy, Qianluo casually inquired, the security for an auction of this level must be quite strict, right? Mint Rabbit replied with a hint of pride, well, it's both strict and not. Items that can be put in a ring are carried by the person in charge, on their person. Those that can't be put in the ring are transported in a large vehicle directly to the venue. As for the route, it's usually taken an hour before the auction starts, through the back door of the venue. Meanwhile, in another part of the Volsi Empire, Yun Chuyang was making inquiries about Qianluo to the third prince. Any news on Qianluo? The third prince smiled slightly. That guy appeared on Happy Planet a couple of days ago. Once I'm done with the auction, I'll focus on capturing him. Yun Chuyang responded, alright then, let me know as soon as you find him. I'm curious to see how he uses his void walking. After all, he's the first person in the universe to become a god through it. Iron Fist, standing nearby, confidently smirked. Third prince, rest assured, if I encounter that guy, I guarantee I'll have him on his knees. Yun Chuyang grinned, don't be too confident. That kid became a god through void walking. walking. Catching him is one thing. Can you even touch him? Iron Fist huffed. Elder Yun, you're not aware. The third prince has invited Rylan, who controls time freeze. Once Rylan immobilizes him, I can easily take him down. The third prince quickly added, that's right. Worried about Chenluo causing trouble at the auction, I've asked Uncle Rylan to help escort the auction items. Yun Chuyang appeared impressed. With Rylan involved, this should be a sure thing. At that moment, the spacecraft of the Draymond Empire's eldest princess, Afra, descended nearby. The third prince quickly approached and respectfully greeted her. Welcome, esteemed Princess Afra, to our auction. Afra, appearing somewhat nonchalant, asked, Lei Sane, have you ever heard of someone called Thunder King? The third prince shook his head. No, I haven't. What's so special about this Thunder King that you're so interested? Afra explained, he's a friend I met in a game. He's refused to reveal his identity despite my inquiries. I sense he has great talent, and I'm a bit curious about him. The third prince responded, I will instruct my subordinates to search for him, and if we find him, we will bring him to you. Afra nodded. I appreciate your efforts, third prince. The next day, early in the morning, Chenluo arrived at a restaurant with a view overlooking the entire auction venue, ready to surprise the third prince. Soon, the third prince's convoy appeared in Chenluo's sight. Seeing the opportune moment, Chenluo donned his armor and used void walking to appear inside the transport vehicle. He skillfully transferred all the treasures into his ability space. The third prince, sensing something amiss, quickly called on Rylan to intervene. Rylan didn't hesitate to use time freeze on Chenluo. Sensing the temporal shift, Chenluo immediately countered with his time ability and appeared high in the sky. This alarmed the third prince. Why wasn't he immobilized? Before he could comprehend the situation, Chenluo used void banishment to pull the third prince towards him and then applied time freeze on him. Just as Chenluo was about to snatch the rings, Yun Chuyang suddenly appeared behind him using void walking. Chenluo, with a disdainful smile, waved his hand and Yun Chuyang vanished. He then swiftly removed 2 rings from the third prince's hand and, in front of everyone, slapped the third prince twice. Wanted to capture me? Ha! Try competing with me when you're actually capable. Yun Chuyang, shocked and worried, thought to himself, if I don't retrieve the items, Lei Sane is going to face serious consequences. After saying this, Yun Chuyang used void walking to appear behind Chenluo. Surprised, Chenluo thought, this person must be the space specialist Rice mentioned. Rice said I could gain insights from him to achieve the Great God certification, but there are so many divine levels here. If I don't leave, I might not be able to escape. With that thought, he immediately used void walking to vanish from the spot. Although the third prince's time freeze was lifted, he remained in a state of shock, lamenting, I've really messed up. That guy stole my spatial ring right in front of me again. He realized that if time freeze couldn't hold Chenluo, capturing him would be nearly impossible. However, Yun Chuyang didn't give up. As soon as Chenluo used void walking, Yun Chuyang also disappeared. Meanwhile, Chenluo had teleported hundreds of kilometers away, but to his dismay, Yun Chuyang eerily appeared beside him. Chenluo was taken aback. How is this possible? How does he know where I am? Before he could understand the situation, Yun Chuyang's hand was already gripping his armor. Chenluo quickly used void walking to evade, but Yun Chuyang followed like a shadow, matching his every teleportation. Chenluo was utterly bewildered and shouted, why can you lock onto my position? Yun Chuyang smirked. I heard you mastered 2 laws within 2 years. A prodigy indeed, but still too green. Chenluo stood frozen, wondering, how did he do that? Was I marked somehow? With this thought, he used void walking again, closely observing Yun Chuyang. Yun Chuyang did the same, closely watching how Chenluo executed void walking. After hundreds of consecutive uses of void walking, Chenluo noticed something crucial. When Yun Chuyang uses void walking, something seems to be missing from the space he passes through, while mine seems to leave something extra. With this observation, Chenluo had an epiphany. When I use void walking, I leave spatial traces at my original location, and he's tracking me through these traces. Yun Chuyang, on the other hand, erases his spatial traces after using his skill. This is where my void walking falls short. If not for Yun Chuyang's live demonstration, I might never have realized this. As Yun Chuyang watched with a smirk, he said, give up. There's no way you can escape from me today. Chenluo responded with a slight smile. Thank you for the lesson you taught me today. After saying this, he disappeared again, but this time, Yun Chuyang was stunned. He failed to catch any spatial trace of Chenluo, muttering to himself, did this kid figure out his flaw? Not just that, he solved it too. Following this perfect execution of void walking by Chenluo, a notification regarding his void walking law appeared, indicating that his comprehension had reached 100%. Suddenly, a mysterious spatial fluctuation appeared above him, followed by a beam of silver light shining directly on him. This development surprised Yun Chuyang, who exclaimed, how is this possible? possible? Is this the legendary Great God certification? Erasing spatial traces was his final hurdle to achieve it. Did I inadvertently teach him that? The celestial phenomenon acted like a guiding light, drawing the attention of several divine levels to Chenluo's location. Shortly thereafter, a dozen figures swiftly arrived at the scene, including the third prince. Seeing Chenluo undergoing a transformation by the spatial law, the third prince's face turned sour, and he yelled in disbelief. How is this possible? Why does he get the Great God certification? At that moment, regret washed over the third prince. Though time crystals were rare, with his status and position, he would eventually obtain one from some lower life form. Why did I have to pick Chenluo? Time trace. You've doomed me, he lamented. Meanwhile, a guard whispered to Princess Afra, Your Highness, you must try to enlist this person afterwards, no matter the cost. Just then, a commanding voice echoed in everyone's ears. The law of space is bestowing the Great God certification. All present are advised not to interfere. At that moment, Chenluo was starting to understand what the Great God certification truly entailed. Firstly, undergoing the baptism of the spatial law had astonishingly increased his lifespan by 1 million years. Secondly, the law gifted him with a spirit of space, significantly reducing his abilities consumption. This spirit of space served as a backup for his abilities, substituting his energy consumption and accelerating his recovery, essentially acting as a reserve of abilities. More incredibly, the spirit of space deepened Chenluo's affinity with various spatial powers, reducing the difficulty of comprehending new laws. Chenluo sighed. Indeed, it's a great gift, but it didn't directly enhance my combat abilities or physical strength. After causing such a commotion, I only got this. The others were immensely envious, wishing they could have received the Great God certification themselves. If only I could get it. Chenluo is sure to become a major figure in the realm of space. Hearing this, the third prince shouted in anger, What big shot in space? He's nothing but a robber. He blatantly robbed the auction in the imperial capital, showing no respect for the empire. Unfazed, Chenluo taunted him, Isn't this my benefactor, the third prince? I really have to thank you for your enlightenment, T. Without it, how could I have received the Great God certification? Already on the verge of exploding, the third prince, provoked by these words, lost his composure and charged at Chenluo like a mad dog. However, in the next second, he was suddenly frozen in place by a shimmering crystal of ice. This startled Chenluo, who thought to himself, Who did this? Before he could grasp the situation, everyone around him bowed and exclaimed, All hail Emperor Resad. The figure was none other than the ruler of the Volsci Empire, a supreme being who had reigned for over 2 million years. The powerful aura emanating from him immediately made Chenluo feel uneasy, wondering, Is he here to settle scores with me? Emperor Resad shook his head in resignation, thinking to himself, Lei Sane is finished. His mind has been completely destroyed by this Chenluo. No matter how talented, it will be difficult for him to progress further. Emperor Resad then announced, effective immediately, Lei Sane is stripped of his prince title. After unfreezing the third prince, he ordered his subordinates to retrieve the prince token and exclusive armor. Turning to Chenluo with a kind expression, he said, You are Chenluo, correct? I am aware of the conflict between you and Lei Sane. While he was at fault initially, your actions were also inexcusable. However, I am willing to overlook this. I will rescind the warrant for your arrest and offer you the title of Marquis in the Volsci Empire. Would you be willing to join us? Chenluo was taken aback, thinking, not only is he not here to settle accounts, but he's also offering me a reward. Is he trying to win me over before eliminating me? Uninterested in the offer, Chenluo internally remarked, I, the Void King, serve as a subordinate. Wishful thinking. He then replied, Your Majesty, this is quite sudden. May I take some time to consider? Emperor Resad nodded. Take your time. From the auction items you took, feel free to select 2 to keep. The rest must be returned. With that, Resad vanished instantly, leaving Chenluo startled. Such formidable strength. If he had attacked me, I might not have had time to react. As soon as Resad left, a divine-level figure eagerly asked Chenluo, Could you let me have the Fire Star Spirit? I would owe you a favor. Others then crowded around, requesting various auction items. Chenluo chuckled to himself. They're already asking for items before I've even agreed to return them. He then earnestly said, I will seriously consider the Emperor's suggestion. Now, I need a quiet place to contemplate the loss. He then made eye contact with Yin Chuyang, signaling, I'll leave traces with my void walking. He disappeared, and half an hour later, Yin Chuyang found him using the spatial traces. Yin Chuyang asked gravely, What do you want? Why did you intentionally leave traces to lead me here? Chenluo bowed respectfully and said, Thank you, teacher, for your lesson. Without your demonstration, I would never have discovered the flaw in my void walking in such a short time. Hearing this, Yin Chuyang responded, There's no need for such formalities. You surely didn't ask me here just to say thanks. Without hesitation, Chenluo said, I've only been involved in the space element for 4 to 5 years and feel my foundation is weak. Could you provide me with some guidance? As he spoke, he pulled out a purple crystal card. Here are 10 billion purple crystals. I certainly don't expect you to teach me for free. Yin Chuyang was momentarily taken aback, contemplating whether to teach him or not. Soon, he made up his mind and waved his hand. Don't call me your teacher. Being the teacher of such a troublemaker might get me killed one day. He then then hesitated a bit before continuing. I can teach you, but could you also teach me void walking? Of the 8 laws of the space element, it's the only one I haven't mastered yet. Mastering all the spatial laws would significantly enhance my power. Qianluo readily agreed. No problem. I'll share everything I know. Yun Chuyang wasted no time and said, among the auction items, there's a mystic aura crystal. Find it. It can record and immerse you in the scenes it captures. Record our session with it. Let's not waste any more time and start right away. Since void walking is your strength, I won't attempt to teach that. Let's start with 2 defensive laws. Under Yun Qiang's guidance, Qianluo immediately began practicing according to the techniques described. In just 2 hours, his comprehension of the 2 spatial defensive laws increased by 20% each. Qianluo was delighted. I've certainly found the right teacher. Yun Chuyang continued to explain the intricacies of ability space, showcasing his own space to Qianluo. My ability space is divided into 7 dimensions, meaning even if you enter, you won't be able to find what I've hidden inside. And once you comprehend this law, your ability space will become virtually indestructible. Qianluo fell deep into thought, realizing the simplicity of his own ability space compared to Yun Chuyang's. He decided to wait until he was alone to release everyone from his space and remodel it based on Yun Chuyang's teachings. Then, Qianluo eagerly asked, could you teach me about offensive laws? I don't have any attack laws yet. Yun Chuyang grinned. Of course, I even have a trick for quickly mastering attack laws. He then produced a large sword and approached Qianluo with a mischievous smile. Qianluo, somewhat anxious, asked, what's the trick? The trick is to take a beating. I'll transfer my attack laws into your body directly. There's no faster way to comprehend a law than feeling it within yourself. Just stand still, and I'll handle the rest. Qianluo, visibly frightened, protested, what if you hit too hard? Are you trying to kill me? Maybe you should demonstrate first. Nodding, Yun Chuyang explained, spatial attacks are the most impressive, both in terms of destructive power and method of attack. They far surpass other elemental systems. Watch closely. No sooner had he finished speaking than Qianluo felt a chill on his back and realized a void sword had already circled behind him. Sweating profusely, he shouted, how did you do that? Yun Chuyang smiled slightly. It's not just dimensional power. I've integrated auxiliary space abilities, sending the void sword into a different spatial layer. Since you're not deeply familiar with auxiliary space, you couldn't detect it. By the time the void sword manifests, it's already too late to defend. Upon hearing Yun Qiang's explanation, Qianluo had an epiphany. So different spatial abilities can be combined like this, he realized. Yun Chuyang spoke gravely. Now, I'll demonstrate my ultimate technique, shaking the heavens. This move combines 3 attack laws. I can't make too much noise, or if someone finds out I'm teaching you, I'll be in trouble. Pay attention, I'll only show this once. As he spoke, 3 laws merged in his hands, eventually becoming an almost imperceptible transparent color. Qianluo felt an immense pressure emanating from Yun Chuyang's hands. When Yun Chuyang swung his arm, the space affected by shaking the heavens shattered like broken glass, fragmenting inch by inch. It was the most terrifying attack Qianluo had ever seen, and that was Yun Chuyang suppressing his destructive power. Qianluo was thoroughly impressed and quickly said, I think you're absolutely right, teacher. Please infuse the 3 attack laws into me, but gently, please. I'm really not good with pain. Yun Chuyang nodded. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. With that, Yun Chuyang swung his sword towards Qianluo. At that moment, Qianluo was panicking internally, reassuring himself. Since Rice didn't give any warnings, it must be safe. Today, I'll be brave. However, before the attack even hit him, Qianluo instinctively used his defensive law to protect himself. This left Yun Chuyang speechless. What are you doing? If you defend like this, I'll have to use full force. Qianluo awkwardly smiled. Sorry, it was a reflex. I promise to control it next time. After continuously attacking Qianluo for 2 hours, Yun Chuyang finally managed to infuse the 3 attack laws into his body. Exhausted, Yun Chuyang said, the laws are now in your body. Feel them out on your own. Now it's your turn to teach me void walking. Qianluo shared his complete understanding of void walking with Yun Chuyang, but Yun Chuyang still seemed puzzled. Suggesting a practical approach, Yun Chuyang asked Qianluo to perform void walking while he observed closely, hoping to grasp the concept better. After about 2 hours, Qianluo eagerly asked, how about now? Do you have a deeper understanding of void walking? Yun Chuyang looked bewildered and admitted, I thought I knew a bit before, but after your explanation, I feel like I know even less. Qianluo, feeling a bit exasperated, offered, should I try explaining it again? Yun Chuyang quickly declined. No, I just need some time to process this. Your teachings are a bit complex for me right now. Let me have some quiet time to think. As Qianluo scratched his head, unsure of what more he could do, he decided to review the knowledge Yun Chuyang had taught him, focusing first on auxiliary space, which he felt more familiar with. Meanwhile, Yun Chuyang, feeling overwhelmed, exclaimed, this is too difficult. Maybe I'll just come back to it when I have more time. Just then, Yun Chuyang noticed something unusual and looked up at the sky, then at Qianluo. He exclaimed in astonishment, is the gap between people really this big? The more I learn, the worse I get, and this guy has just comprehended another law? Meanwhile, Qianluo was fully absorbed in modifying his ability space, unaware that a new law was about to transfer transform his body. When the transformation began, Chenluo was startled and shouted, "You're distracting me, you know?" Yun Chuyang, watching from the sidelines, marveled, "I can't believe it. You've comprehended 5 laws in just 6 years." Chenluo smiled modestly, "All thanks to your guidance and the help of the spirit of space. With its assistance, I feel comprehending all the spatial laws isn't too difficult. The real challenge is elevating the comprehension of each law to the level of great god certification." Yun Chuyang initially seemed surprised by Chenluo's ambitions, then praised him, "Impressive, young man. I didn't expect you to have such grand aspirations. No wonder you've achieved so much. It seems I underestimated you." Given enough time, surpassing Emperor Risad might not be out of the question. At the mention of Risad, Chenluo quickly asked, "Teacher, what can you tell me about Risad's character?" Yun Chuyang pondered before responding, "About 80,000 years ago, a divine level being found a divine grass. I don't know the specifics, as it's top secret. The divine level didn't surrender it," and upon hearing this, Risad immediately ordered the extermination of all life on that being's home planet and the surrounding star systems. Yun Chuyang sighed, "When an emperor is angered, billions may fall." Hearing this, Chenluo was visibly shaken. "If that's the consequence of not surrendering a treasure, my actions in the imperial capital were essentially a slap in Risad's face. Yet, he didn't get angry but instead offered me a title. It seems abnormal. He must be planning to pacify me first, then find an opportunity to eliminate me later." Concerned, Chenluo inquired further, "Teacher, what is Risad's strength?" Yun Chuyang shook his head. "I'm not entirely sure. He hasn't made a move in many years, but from my observations, he has at least 12 laws." Chenluo was alarmed. 12 laws? Aren't there only 8 laws per element? Yun Chuyang clarified, "He has achieved godhood in 2 elements. Living for over 2 million years, it's normal for him to master that many laws. 12 is a conservative estimate. It could even be 13 or 14. At this moment, Chenluo suddenly realized, so, Risad's power is terrifyingly strong. Yun Chuyang replied with a light smile, "Actually, I have 8 laws. 7 of them are of the space category, and 1 more is my second special ability in the physical category." Chenluo, with a mischievous smile, immediately asked, "Teacher, where's the part of your body that awakened this physical ability?" Yun Chuyang, with an embarrassed look, responded, "Get out of here. It's a secret. Don't you pry into it. I've taught you all I can. Just don't go around saying I'm your teacher. I don't want to become a wanted criminal." Hearing this, Chenluo immediately assured, "Teacher, don't worry. I'm not the kind of person who would repay kindness with ingratitude." Yun Chuyang sighed, "I impulsively taught you something troublesome just now. If one day we end up fighting each other, I won't go easy on you." As soon as these words fell, Chenluo quickly said, "But I will show mercy." Upon hearing this, Yun Chuyang burst into laughter. "You show mercy to me? You don't even have a single attack law. You pose no threat to me at all. Stop joking." This infuriated Chenluo, who thought to himself, "Let's wait and see. Next time we meet, let's see if I have an attack law." Then, Yun Chuyang tried to act like an expert by attempting to disappear through void walking, only to realize, "Oh no, how do I use void walking again? I completely forgot." With no other choice, he had to awkwardly leave using spatial teleportation. Although Chenluo had already mastered 5 laws, he still lacked an attack law. With Yun Chuyang's laws within me, given time, mastering the familiar dimensional law won't be hard. Once I master the dimensional law, time trace, your end is near. It's about time for the Enlightenment Tea to mature. Maybe I should first visit Eugene's planet to check on it. With the Enlightenment Tea, I can better comprehend the laws. Having said that, Chenluo used void walking to arrive on Eugene's planet. He immediately concealed himself in the deeper layers of space, undetectable by anyone without divine-level space abilities. At that moment, a flower emitting a rainbow glow caught his attention. Unsure of what it was, but recognizing its extraordinary nature from its appearance, Chenluo prepared to take a closer look. However, just 2 steps closer, he sensed something wrong. The flower had the ability to accelerate time. Merely approaching within a meter of it cost him 500 years of his lifespan, frightening Chenluo considerably. He urgently asked Rice what was going on. Rice, also unaware, sensed that the flower's petals would be significant soon. She hurriedly instructed Chenluo to pick a petal, cautioning him not to take the whole flower and to be careful not to harm it, as the consequences would be severe. Chenluo swallowed nervously, thinking, since Rice says it's important, even if it costs 1,000,000 years of my life, I must do it. With that, he used void walking to approach the flower and carefully plucked a petal, then quickly returned to his original spot using void walking. The whole process took only 4 to 5 seconds, but it still cost Chenluo several 100,000 years of his lifespan. Chenluo immediately asked, Rice, what's the use of this petal? Rice responded, it can save your life at a critical moment. I feel that this petal can temporarily make you immune to the power of time. Now, hurry and find the Enlightenment Tree. Chenluo continued searching in Eugene's garden and soon found a sign that read Enlightenment Tree. Without hesitation, he approached and examined it. Suddenly, Chenluo realized something was off. Has Eugene lost his mind? This is like declaring there's no silver here. I've been active in the imperial capital. Eugene must have heard of my deeds. Does he think I wouldn't recognize the Enlightenment Tree? Why hang such a big sign. Unbeknownst to him, Caroline had already detected his presence and was closely monitoring his every move. Chenluo also noticed someone observing him and thought, how did this girl discover me in the deep layers of space? I don't know how she found me, but it's definitely not safe to stay here. He then used void walking to go elsewhere. Soon, he found another tree that seemed like the Enlightenment tree, a tea tree emitting a strong tea fragrance, identical to that of Enlightenment tea. Without hesitation, Chenluo used spatial slicing to start harvesting the leaves. In just 2 minutes, he filled a large box with Enlightenment tea. However, in the next second, the leaves in the box turned into disgusting caterpillars. Chenluo was furious, slamming the box on the ground and muttering to himself, that was an illusion. Damn, I've been tricked. There must be a powerful psychic here. Could it be the same girl who discovered me? Just as Chenluo was at a loss, a scolding voice suddenly came from a distance. Yuri, what are you dawdling for? Hurry up and pick up the manure. Following the sound, Chenluo saw Yuri cursing and picking up manure, which amused him greatly. He thought to himself, this is perfect. I was just looking for someone to ask about the situation. I didn't expect to run into an acquaintance here. With this in mind, he immediately kicked Yuri into the space of special abilities. Yuri was terrified and then told his brother Chenluo about his experiences. Ever since my foster father found his biological grandson Yuan, my life here has been worse than a dog's. As he spoke, he hugged Chenluo's legs tightly. Now Eugene wants to train me to demigod level and then give my crystal to his grandson Yuan. Big brother, you must save me. Hearing this, Chenluo patted Yuri's shoulder and said, don't worry, with your big brother here to decide for you, no one who bullies you will get away. These words immediately sparked a wicked idea in Yuri. He planned to use Chenluo to get rid of Yuan and continue living as the wealthy heir. Thinking of this, he quickly said, I suppose, big brother, you're here for the Enlightenment tree. I know where it is. I'll take you there. After saying that, he took Chenluo to the real Enlightenment tree. Looking at Yuan, who was fast asleep, Yuri thought to himself, your end is near, kid. He then quietly pointed to the Enlightenment tree and said to Chenluo, big brother, that is the Enlightenment tree, and from my observation, this tree can live well without Eugene's care. You can take it away directly. Without a second word, Chenluo uprooted the entire Enlightenment tree, thinking to himself, it's so much easier with an inside man. Chenluo skillfully stuffed it into the space of special abilities. A ruthless look flashed across Yuri's face. Big brother, before we leave, accompany me to find Yuan one more time. I'll alter his memory to make him take the blame. Hearing this, Chenluo immediately agreed to Yuri's request. They then went to where Yuan was sleeping, but the next second, Yuri suddenly pulled out a knife with a fierce look and quickly covered Yuan's mouth, stabbing him over 100 times while shouting, this is for bullying me and taking everything from me. Chenluo was terrified by this. Yuri, what are you doing? Weren't we supposed to alter his memory? Why are you killing him? I just came for a free purchase. I never thought about hurting anyone. Unexpectedly, Yuri said with a sinister expression, Yuan was killed by you. Now I am the only family Eugene has left. Only then can I comfortably be your inside man. Although Chenluo didn't particularly need the divine grass from Eugene's place, he was very interested in the flower that could accelerate time. He thought it would be useful to have Yuri guard it for him. Any significant developments could be reported to him immediately. Although Rice didn't mention it, Chenluo felt that whether he could quickly become a god might hinge on that flower. Considering this, Chenluo immediately said, I'll take the blame for this, but you have to be a good inside man for me. Also, do you know about that glowing flower? Yuri immediately responded, I know it. It's called the flower of the other shore. It was planted here by the Volsi Empire a long time ago. Nobody dares to approach it, and I don't know its exact effects. Hearing this, Chenluo patted Yuri on the shoulder and said, your task is to watch over this flower of the other shore for me and to find out its secrets. Inform me immediately of any major discoveries. Saying this, he stored Yuan's body in his space of special abilities and then warned Yuri, don't try any tricks. Remember the melee resurrection technique. If you try to fool me, Yuan could be brought back to life, and I don't need to tell you the consequences. After saying this, he disappeared on the spot with a void walk. Meanwhile, in another location, the Volsi Empire was holding a highly confidential meeting. The main subject of discussion was Chenluo. Lei Sane was kneeling in the center of the hall. Risat, with an indifferent tone, asked, Lei Sane, do you realize where you went wrong? Before Lei Sane could answer, Risat angrily said, your mistake was hiding Chenluo's abilities for the sake of your pride. If you had spoken up earlier, that boy would have died hundreds of times by now. Lei Sane weakly explained, I thought I could take down Chenluo by myself. I didn't expect him to not only master the unsolvable void walk, but also learn time stop. I realize my mistake now. Please calm your anger, great emperor. Upon hearing this, the people present expressed their opinions. This Chenluo is indeed a monster. Even Ryland's time stop couldn't hold him. It's no wonder Lei Sane failed against him. Then, the second prince spoke gravely, if Ryland alone can't stop him, let's invite all the experts who can use time stop to deal with him. I refuse to believe he can escape then. The great prince also agreed, saying, I think the second brother's plan is feasible. Just at that moment, Lei Sane's communicator suddenly rang. Just as Lei Sane was about to dismiss the call, he noticed it was from his subordinate stationed on the Blue Star. So he answered. The anxious voice on the other end said, "Third Prince, we have reached the coordinates provided by Time Trace, but we have not found Chenluo's home planet. Could it be that Time Trace has deceived us?" Hearing this, Resad fell into deep thought. Since we can't deal with this youngster for the time being, why not start with his home planet? If we find the blue star, we might be able to control Chenluo. If the plan fails and we completely fall out with the youngster, the Volsi Empire will be doomed. Do we need to use the flower of the other shore? If it comes to that, we have no choice. We cannot let this youngster grow any further. At that moment, a servant rushed in to report, "Emperor Resad, terrible news. The Mermaid Queen is nearing her end, and unfortunately, she has not found a successor with a pure enough bloodline." Resad nodded. "Inform Yin Chuyang to take me to meet an old friend." Meanwhile, Chenluo was having a friendly exchange with the Enlightenment Tree. Initially, the tree was quite arrogant, claiming it could only produce Enlightenment tea once every 10 years. However, Chenluo quickly taught it a lesson, making it obedient. Chenluo then said firmly, "I'm naming a figure, 10 kilograms per day. That's not a problem, right?" The Enlightenment Tree hurriedly replied, "I really can't do that. I can give you 30 kilograms first, then produce 5 kilograms per month. This is my limit. Any more would affect the quality of the Enlightenment tea." Just then, Rice suddenly ran over excitedly, shouting, "Mi Ling has been promoted to demigod level. Also, you should use spatial teleportation and head west immediately. I feel there's a huge opportunity waiting for congealed frost there." Simultaneously, Mermaid Queen Olivia was instructing her people on her final wishes. "If I'm not here, you can seek help from the Volsi Empire in times of crisis. Emperor Resad owes me a favor. He will surely assist. However, if Resad doesn't see the flower of the other shore bloom, he, too, is not long for this world." At this moment, a sobbing maid approached and said, "Your Majesty, please eat this vermilion fruit. Maybe if you wait a little longer, you will find a suitable successor among your people." But Olivia seemed skeptical. "It's not that easy. The two mermaids involved in the succession must have rich bloodlines and similar talents. I've been preparing for this for 100,000 years, and still haven't found a suitable kin. Oh well, what will be will be. There's no use in forcing fate." Meanwhile, Chenluo and his group arrived at the mermaid planet. He hurriedly instructed Congealed Frost to go down. Before she left, Rice warned her, "Don't tell anyone you know Chenluo. If someone asks how you got here, just say you were thrown down by bad people." As soon as he finished speaking, Chenluo kicked Congealed Frost down, who then fell like a meteor straight towards the palace, landing in front of Olivia. Seeing this, the queen immediately ordered, "Bring her to me at once." Congealed Frost was quite taken aback and thought to herself, "What's going on? Why are there so many of my kind here?" As Congealed Frost approached Olivia, the queen immediately sensed the rich bloodline aura on her and exclaimed, "Blessings upon our mermaid race. This child is the perfect successor I've been desperately seeking." She quickly asked, "Young girl, what is your name? Why did you suddenly fall from the sky?" Hearing this, Congealed Frost awkwardly smiled and replied, "My name is Congealed Frost. I was thrown down here by bad people." As soon as she finished speaking, Queen Olivia excitedly announced, "Let it be known to all my subjects, Congealed Frost is the next mermaid queen." At this point, the only male divine level mermaid voiced his doubts. "Your Majesty, this person's origins are unknown. It would be wise to investigate her background first." Olivia shook her head in response, "I don't have much time left. There's no need for further discussion. Congealed Frost is the successor I have chosen." Seeing that their objective had been achieved, Chenluo said, "Then let's go, so as not to be discovered. It's a bit hard to leave this crybaby behind." Hearing this, Rice smiled slightly. "It can't be helped. It's for the best for Congealed Frost, and only when Mi Ling, Mi Li, and Congealed Frost become gods can I advance to divine level. Anyway, let's set that aside for now. I just sense that Thunder King will soon be in danger." Chenluo was understandably alarmed. "What's happening with Thunder King?" Rice replied, "With my current abilities, I can't discern the specifics of the situation, nor can I predict whether Thunder King will survive." Chenluo grew anxious. "What should we do? Given Thunder King's nature, it's unlikely he'll return on his own, but if he really dies, you can leave a message in the game to inform him of the situation. The choice should be left to him." Meanwhile, elsewhere, Afra had finally found Thunder King, who possessed 2 laws, and invited him to the Draymond Empire as a guest. She also introduced her brother, Artis. Thunder King quickly expressed his pleasure. "Delighted to meet you. I assume Prince Artis's abilities are extraordinary." At the mention of Artis, pride filled Afra's face. "My brother is the most outstanding genius in our family. He is now a divine level with 3 laws." Hearing this, Thunder King was momentarily stunned and thought to himself, Afra herself is a 7-law divine level in the physical domain. How can her brother with just 3 laws be considered an outstanding genius? Afra then smiled and said, "Thunder King is a formidable expert. Would you like to spar with him?" Artis immediately declined his sister's suggestion. "I'm not interested in sparring. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." After leaving, Artis returned to the palace to continue his cultivation, wondering, "I'm already very proficient with time stop, but why haven't I reached the point of law's favor?" Just then, Adolf entered, startling Artis. "Grandfather, weren't you at the destruction law? How are things there?" Adolf shook his head. "The power of the law lies in an abyss that even I dare not explore recklessly, sensing death itself. But destruction law is not important. You are the hope of the Draymond Empire. The legend says that exceptional talents must endure calamities to break through. You have always been closely protected by the Empire. Outsiders don't even know you are of the time domain. Perhaps this is why you haven't become a god of time. Artist was visibly shocked. Do I need to go through a calamity to become a god of time? What if I don't survive? Adolf immediately reassured. Don't worry, my dear grandson. I won't let anything happen to you. I'm going to consult Violet of the causality domain right away. Saying this, Adolf went to Violet's planet, only to find time traced there as well. Violet greeted him with a smile. Emperor Adolf, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Thinking to herself, the second cause and effect I set in motion is finally coming into play. Chenluo, how will you respond this time? Adolf quickly asked. Did you foresee my visit? Violet smiled slightly. Not only did I foresee your visit, but I also know the reason for it. Adolf was about to ask her to predict Artus's tribulation, but before he could speak, Violet preempted him. The answer I can give you now is that Artus's tribulation will be Chenluo. This was the second cause and effect she had laid for Chenluo. Adolf, startled at first, then asked in confusion, why would it be Chenluo? Violet replied with a slight smile. The secrets of heaven cannot be revealed. You will know the answer when you return. As Adolf left, Violet's lips curved upwards, thinking to herself, no matter how powerful the laws are, they still dance in my palm. 7 parts cause and effect, 3 parts deception. The 2 threads of cause and effect are about to entangle. With just a little manipulation, 2 great empires will join forces in an endless fight against Chenluo. Meanwhile, at the Draymond Empire's martial arts arena, Thunder King was sparring with a 4-law divine level. He was caught by the throat and struggling to break free. Afra shouted anxiously, Thunder King, concede. It's not worth getting hurt. But Thunder King was determined, shouting, I will not concede. In that instant, he used his trump card, Lightning Exchange. In the next second, he mysteriously swapped places with the lightning behind him. Seeing this, Afra was stunned. Thunder King, you are incredible. To escape unscathed in such a situation. At this moment, Thunder King said helplessly, I just managed to escape, that's all. I didn't defeat the opponent. It's far from being impressive. Seeing Thunder King's nonchalant response, Afra said, that's already impressive. After all, your opponent had 2 more laws than you. You are exceptional in your escape abilities. Thunder King chuckled and thought to himself, maybe, perhaps, possibly because of someone's influence. Afra, recognizing Thunder King's extraordinary talent in lightning, offered, let me find you a teacher. With his guidance, I guarantee your strength will soar. Thunder King eagerly asked who it was. Afra revealed, this person is my grandfather, Adolf, the foremost expert in the cosmic lightning domain. Adolf was then brought in to instruct Thunder King. He said indifferently, since my beloved granddaughter considers you a genius, I will personally teach you the laws of lightning. Let's see how much you can grasp. Adolf then began to explain the various lightning laws. Illusion lightning for confusing opponents, fury lightning containing powerful mental attacks, and sprinting lightning, essential for infusing into other laws to achieve true lightning speed. After imparting 8 faint traces of law power into Thunder King, Adolf instructed, come back to me in a year. I will assess your understanding of the laws and decide whether to continue teaching you. After thanking Adolf, Thunder King left the arena, realizing he hadn't checked in with his friends since his departure. Logging into the game, he saw an email from Rice warning of a potential crisis. Thunder King replied, thanks for the heads up, but I'm not ready to leave. I'm making rapid progress here. I'm not afraid of danger. Tell Chenluo, when my training is complete, the dog killer will return. At his command, the fearsome dog killer will re-emerge. Upon reading Thunder King's reply, Chenluo sighed, let him be. If Thunder King faces any life-threatening danger, Rice will warn us in time. I can always step in to save him if necessary. The priority now is to refine my dimensional power. I recall in Ryzen's data there's a divine level named Gray, who would be an ideal sparring partner for me. Chenluo immediately performed a void walk and arrived at his home planet. Soon, he located Gray based on the address. This frightened Gray considerably, who hastily exclaimed, aren't you the wanted criminal Chenluo? What do you want? I haven't offended you. Before he could finish his sentence, Chenluo suddenly grabbed his clothes and said, don't worry, I won't steal from your house. Come with me. With that, he performed another void walk, disappearing from the spot with Gray. They then arrived at a deserted planet. Gray, in a panic, said, I have no grudge against you. What do you want to do to me? As soon as he finished speaking, Chenluo unsheathed the dimension blade and fiercely slashed at Gray. This terrified Gray, who quickly raised his hand to block, shouting, can't we talk this out? Chenluo, however, ignored him and continued to wield the dimension blade, but soon, he realized something was amiss. No matter how he struck, he couldn't break through Gray's shield. Why has my dimension blade made no progress at all? He wondered. Then, he suddenly remembered the words Yan Chuyang said before leaving. Actually, understanding any law is greatly related to one's personality. Timid people are more likely to comprehend defensive laws. This is exactly why you lack offensive laws. So, you need to change your temperament. Be more aggressive. That way, you'll find it easier to understand offensive laws. Also, emotions determine the type of skills you comprehend. When you're extremely scared, scared, you're likely to comprehend skills that save your life. When you're extremely angry, you'll comprehend offensive skills. In short, when your emotions reach a critical point, you enter a special state. So, I suggest you try to enter a state of extreme anger more often, as it will help you comprehend offensive laws. But how do I get into a state of anger? What can make me extremely angry? He quickly thought of one possibility. If the Thunder King dies, I will definitely go mad. Thinking of this, Qianluo immediately imagined that Gray had killed the Thunder King. In the next second, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Although it was just a hypothesis, the mere thought drove Qianluo to the brink of sorrowful rage. Seeing this, Gray's bladder quivered, and he muttered to himself, "What grudge? What grievance? Why do you look at me with such terrifying eyes?" Before he could understand the situation, Qianluo condensed a 100-meter-long great sword in his hand and ferociously slashed at the bewildered Gray. A loud boom sounded as the dimension blade struck Gray precisely. Although this strike caused violent vibrations in Gray's shield, it still did not break through, leaving Qianluo deeply disappointed. He thought to himself, an attack without the power of the dimension law still can't threaten a divine-level being. Just then, a golden law suddenly appeared in the sky and rushed towards Qianluo. Seeing this, the 5 laws within him also emerged to celebrate. Meanwhile, Gray was stunned. What's happening? How did he comprehend a law in the middle of a fight? And wasn't he known to have 4 laws? Why are there 6 now? Seeing this, Gray didn't hesitate and tried to slip away while Qianluo was being transformed by the law. But in the next second, he was pulled back to the spot by Qianluo's void banishment. Qianluo, with a smirk, said, "Why are you running? Thanks to you, I've comprehended the dimension law. I must properly thank you." Gray quickly responded, "No need to thank me. I don't deserve it. Please, just let me go." Hearing this, Qianluo chuckled. "Actually, I came not just to spar with you, but also for another joyous matter." Thinking to himself, it's also time to find partners for the litter of puppies born to Thunder King. Now that their biological father is not here, I, as their godfather, should take charge. With that, he immediately said, "Are you interested in becoming my in-law? Don't worry, you won't miss out on the dowry." Meanwhile, at another location, Olivia's inheritance was reaching its conclusion. Olivia, with a look of satisfaction, said, "Child, I hope that after you become strong, you can lead the merfolk to a better future." As she spoke, Olivia, like a snowflake, merged into Congealed Frost's body, gradually disappearing. This moment brought tears to Congealed Frost's eyes. Although she had only known Olivia for a day, Olivia's self-sacrifice to pass on her legacy deeply moved Congealed Frost. With the completion of the inheritance, Congealed Frost was enveloped in a layer of dreamlike blue ice. Instantly stepping into the demigod-level realm, the fellow clan members silently prayed, hoping Congealed Frost would fully inherit the Queen's law insights and soon become a divine-level being to protect the merfolk planet. A male merfolk, thinking of Congealed Frost, said to himself, "I am the only man in our clan. What does it matter if she becomes the queen? In the end, she will still be my woman." At that moment, a blue ice law descended from the sky, surrounding Congealed Frost and beginning to transform her body. This also energized Rice on the other side, startling everyone who was eating. They immediately asked Rice, "What's happening?" Rice quickly responded, "Don't panic, it's a good thing. Congealed Frost has become a god, and thus my power has also increased significantly. Continue eating, I'm going to verify my abilities." Hearing this, Mi Ling sighed to herself, "Now even Congealed Frost has become a god, but my power hasn't increased at all." Congealed Frost's ascension also made Rice realize she had gained the ability to create something from nothing. She pondered, "What should I create?" Quickly, she had an answer: to create a spectacle that would help Qianluo comprehend the law of time. With the law of fate swirling around her, Rice thought hard, but the aura around her gradually dimmed. After about 15 minutes, Rice finally generated a time-accelerating vortex based on the existing conditions and immediately shared the good news with Qianluo. "Qianluo, head south immediately. I have prepared a surprise for you." Qianluo then found an energy vortex in the south. Rice told him, "This is a time-accelerating vortex, very rare and not long-lasting. It's much milder than the flower of the other shore." Qianluo carefully extended his hand into the time vortex, only to discover it contained a powerful temporal force, drastically different from the external flow of time. After a close examination, he realized this is a time acceleration zone with a flow speed 30,000 times faster than the outside world, while the flower of the other shore has at least 1,000,000 times speed. Delighted, Qianluo quickly entered the vortex. He then released his time rewind ability to counter the acceleration. After 2 days of relentless practice, he began to gain some insights. Simultaneously, a spaceship, by sheer coincidence, passed through the area. Caroline, a formidable psychic, was aboard. She was extremely irritated at the moment, having not only missed out on any enlightenment tea, but also having worked a month for nothing at Eugene's place. She muttered to herself, "If it weren't for Qianluo, I could have gotten at least half a pound of enlightenment tea." Just then, a white energy vortex caught her eye. Upon closer inspection, she found Qianluo inside the vortex, seemingly having an epiphany. Caroline smirked in thought, "Talk about a small world." She then implanted a psychic mark into Qianluo's body, which he quickly sensed as something unusual. Before he could understand understand what was happening, Caroline appeared before him. Such a coincidence. Chenluo, meeting you here, she said, thinking to herself, with my psychic mark on him, he's effectively located. When needed, I can sell his location to the Volsi Empire. Chenluo, wary, asked, what do you want with me? While his eyes were fixed on her hand, Caroline quickly responded, why are you looking at my hand? I know you can stop time. Why would I dare wear a space ring on my hand? As she spoke, Caroline grabbed Chenluo's arm. Chenluo, I know you have the enlightenment tree. Could you give me 2 pounds of enlightenment tea? Chenluo instinctively agreed to her request, but he soon realized what had happened. Damn, why would I let a stranger grab my arm and agree to give her enlightenment tea? Thinking this, he immediately performed a void walk to leave his original position, thinking to himself, this Caroline is no simple character. I've fallen for her illusion. This frightened Caroline, she thought, he's only at 4 laws. How could he see through my illusion? In a rush, she shouted, Chenluo, don't be ungrateful. You stole the entire enlightenment tree. You can't drink all the tea yourself. What's wrong with giving me 2 pounds? Hearing this, Chenluo retorted sharply, I risked my neck to get this, and you think I should just give it to you, unless… But before he could finish, Caroline immediately responded with a blush, Chenluo, you're so bad, but I'm willing. Chenluo was taken aback. What are you thinking about? I was just asking if you wanted to spar with me. As he spoke, Chenluo hurled a dimension blade at her, shouting, since you're so eager, take this. Unexpectedly, his full-powered strike suddenly stopped in front of Caroline, unable to advance further. Under Caroline's control, the attack even turned back on him. Chenluo was shocked, realizing the extent of her powerful psychic abilities to control others' attacks. Without delay, Chenluo launched dozens of dimension blades at Caroline, but the outcome was the same. The blades meant to harm her turned against him. Caroline's expression turned cold. This guy actually wants to take my life. Let's fight it out. With a shout, she appeared in pink armor, scythe in hand, before Chenluo. Like a pink god of war, she swung her scythe rapidly and at tricky angles, but Chenluo, with his ability to void walk infinitely, evaded every strike without a scratch. Caroline snorted, I know, no one can keep you if you want to leave, but I've left a psychic mark inside you. You can't escape from the palm of my hand. Chenluo's expression changed as he thought, this is bad. If what she says is true, she could ambush me anytime. That's too dangerous. He immediately tried to sense the faint psychic energy within him and attempted to erase the mark, but to no avail. Seeing his futile efforts, Caroline smirked and said, don't waste your energy. It's useless. How about this? Give me 5 pounds of enlightenment tea, and I'll remove the mark for you. This enraged Chenluo, who thought, since when have I, Chenluo, been threatened by anyone, and who knows if she'll really remove it. She might plan another, even more undetectable mark. Chenluo quickly used his time stop ability on Caroline. With ease, he snatched the scythe from her hands, and then slapped her twice in quick succession. Getting cocky, I've always been the one robbing others. No one robs me. This scythe is now mine. Caroline, infuriated, retorted, do you really think just because you took something, it belongs to you? As she spoke, 2 small orbs suddenly appeared on the scythe, launching 2 psychic attacks at Chenluo. Fortunately, he dodged in time, narrowly avoiding the assault. He quickly threw the scythe into his special ability space, saying, once something is in my hands, it's mine. Unless your scythe possesses the power of more than 3 laws, it has no chance of escaping my ability space. Caroline stood there, stunned, and thought to herself, how did he completely sever my connection with the scythe? How is that possible? Before she could figure it out, Chenluo pointed at her with a malicious grin. Not only is the scythe mine, but your armor is too. He then charged towards Caroline, shouting, say your goodbyes to your armor now. The next moment, the armor eerily detached from her body and automatically went into Chenluo's hands. This infuriated Caroline immensely, and she hurriedly cursed, you shameless thief, give me back my armor and weapons right now. Don't you believe I can summon people to kill you this instant? However, Chenluo just smirked and said, that pink skirt on you seems like a rare treasure too. Hand it over. As soon as he finished speaking, Caroline's clothes disappeared in a flash. Chenluo then grinned and said, this is what happens to those who offend me. By now, with that, he disappeared into thin air, leaving Caroline alone in the disheveled wind. Meanwhile, in another place, Risad arrived in the Draymond Empire, seeking to collaborate with Adolf to eliminate Chenluo. Eager to help his grandson artist through a crisis, Adolf immediately agreed to Risad's request. Risad then spoke in a serious tone, I heard you recently detected the aura of the destructive law. What's the situation now? Hearing this, Adolf immediately replied, the location has been pretty much confirmed. The destructive law is in a bottomless abyss. Didn't your empire's black spirit enter it recently? If he hadn't been wearing armor and reacted quickly to retreat, he would have died hundreds of times over by now. I'm not ready to die yet, so I dare not recklessly explore. Risad, aren't you nearing the end of your life? Why don't you give it a try? Hearing this, Risad shook his head. Isn't Chenluo very greedy? Why don't we set a trap and lure him in? However, this suggestion was opposed by Adolf. For my grandson's safety, I must see Chenluo die with my own eyes. Let's quickly send people to find his whereabouts. Just then, Risad Risad's communicator suddenly rang. It was Caroline on the line. She spoke in a distressed tone. Emperor, I know you're looking for Chenluo. I'm willing to provide his exact location in real time. That guy is not only greedy but also lecherous. He even stripped off my clothes. Emperor, you must seek justice for me. Hearing this, Risad quickly responded, this is indeed a stroke of luck. What are we waiting for? Let's go and finish that guy off right now. However, Adolf had a different view. Since Caroline says he's greedy and lecherous, I have a better idea. Let's ask Lady Dana of Exquisite Poison to take action. Dana is not only beautiful as an angel, but also a divine-level practitioner of the Six Paths Law, skilled in the use of poison. I am willing to provide her with a bottle of bloodthirsty honey to deal with Chenluo. Upon hearing this, Risad immediately agreed. Your plan is more thorough. Dana's poison combined with the bloodthirsty honey, anyone who gets hit will undoubtedly die. Meanwhile, Chenluo was on a remote planet attempting to erase a mark. After 3 days of relentless time reversal, he finally succeeded in removing Caroline's psychic imprint, marking a historic breakthrough in his mastery of time reversal. However, just then, he heard a woman's crying nearby. Turning around, he found a wounded woman who was none other than Dana, sent by the two great emperors to assassinate him. Dana approached the riverside where Chenluo was, pretending to wash her wounds in the river water and moaning softly. This instantly caught Chenluo's attention, prompting him to follow the sound and discover a pitiful and charming lady. Without hesitation, Dana launched into her act, warily watching Chenluo and shouting, don't come any closer. However, to her surprise, Chenluo simply acknowledged with an "oh" and turned to leave. Dana was shocked, thinking to herself, is the intelligence wrong? I'm so charming, and he just walked away? He doesn't seem like a lecherous man at all. In a hurry, she shouted, wait, I recognize you. You are the wanted criminal, Chenluo, right? I know you're powerful. Please, help me. I was injured by a divine-level practitioner of the Two Paths Law. Not only that, but the bastard killed my husband and tried to take me for himself. If you help me avenge this, I am willing to serve you for 10,000 years. As soon as she said this, Chenluo immediately sensed her ulterior motives. He pointed at Dana and exclaimed, you're up to no good. Tell me, are you trying to lure me into saving your husband and then set a trap for me? Hearing Chenluo's accusation, Dana was dumbfounded and thought to herself, no, how can your thought process be so brilliant? I never even considered that. Chenluo sneered, caught you, didn't I? Excuses are just a cover-up, and a cover-up is the truth. Dana shook her head in defense. It's not what you think. How can I make you believe me? I am ready to meet any of your demands right now. After you're satisfied, then you can help me take revenge. How about that? Chenluo, already convinced of her malicious intent, wasn't about to be fooled. He mockingly asked, you say you have a husband, then tell me, what race is he? How old is he? What level is he? And how many minutes does it take each time? Dana was prepared for the initial questions, but the last one left her speechless. Seeing her confusion, Chenluo smirked disdainfully, can't answer, can you? With such low intelligence, you thought you could deceive me? Utterly foolish. Dana, infuriated, thought to herself, I, the exquisite poisonous lady, have killed countless people on my journey. How dare you insult me like this? With that, she revealed her true form, shouting, dare to say that again. Chenluo shuddered at the sight. Just a moment ago, she was a stunning beauty, and now she's turned into a monster. Lucky I'm a good man and didn't do anything inappropriate. Just thinking about it is revolting. Suddenly, Dana opened her mouth wide, and strange, grotesque insects poured out, quickly transforming into massive creatures, forming an army of poisonous beasts. Chenluo didn't retreat an inch. Instead, he taunted, so, you're a poison summoning sorcerer, huh? He then donned his armor, muttering, my specialty is dealing with summoners. Sorry, but I am your natural counter. Undeterred, Dana shouted, still so arrogant at death's door? Go, my army of poisons. As soon as Dana finished speaking, the black armor on her body vanished in a flash, terrifying her. She urgently shouted, hurry up and kill this scoundrel. Chenluo chuckled, dealing with so many poisons one by one is troublesome. How about we spend some time alone? In an instant, they teleported to another planet. Dana, utterly confused, cried out, don't come any closer. Chenluo smiled slightly and said, don't be afraid, I'll show you a great treasure. He then conjured a 40-meter-long giant sword, which scared Dana immensely. She quickly deployed her dissolving law for defense. However, the next second, Chenluo used time stop on her and struck her with a mighty blow. Surprisingly, it didn't cause any substantial harm to Dana. Witnessing this, Dana was petrified, realizing that Chenluo also mastered time stop. Excited, Chenluo shouted, if one strike doesn't kill you, then I'll strike 1,000,000,000 times. Dana, refusing to give up, unleashed a toxic cloud, attacking Chenluo with a widespread poisonous rain. However, this was ineffective against Chenluo, who could perform limitless void walking. He simply teleported to another location. Dana finally realized, he said he's my natural counter, and he wasn't bluffing. Panicked, she screamed, Brother Yun Chuyang, where are you? Stop hiding. Come out and save me. Hearing this, Chenluo froze. No wonder this spider spirit found me so quickly. It must be the teacher who sent her. But why would the teacher harm me? He could have acted during our last encounter. It must be Risad who requested the teacher to bring this woman to assassinate me, and the teacher couldn't refuse. Meanwhile, Dana continued to wail, Brother Yun Chuyang, help Help me, please spare me. I truly am willing to serve you for 10,000 years. Hearing her plea, Chenluo, without hesitation, hurled hundreds of dimensional blades at her. You dare try to seduce me and disrupt my relationship with Meili? Your intentions are despicable. Look at yourself, reeking of foulness. You're even killing the flowers and plants. Don't they have lives? Today, I will act as the agent of justice and eliminate this calamity. While Chenluo continuously unleashed dimensional blades, his mastery of the dimensional law also improved significantly. At that moment, Dana suddenly shouted, "You heartless Chenluo, if I'm going to die, I'll take you with me." Right after she spoke, her body exploded with a loud bang, releasing a vast amount of poison. Chenluo, squinting his eyes, chose not to use void walking to escape. He thought to himself, since Rice didn't give any warning, it means my life isn't in danger. My teacher also advised me to toughen up, to be more resolute. If I do get hurt, I can always use time reversal to heal myself. Sometimes, you have to push yourself to discover your limits. Surprisingly, he didn't flee using void walking, but stood still, letting the poison splash onto him. What he didn't expect was that Dana's self-explosion wasn't particularly powerful. It merely covered his armor in poison, which corroded it like sulfuric acid, yet didn't penetrate it. Chenluo marveled, this armor is really something. I tried to be bold for once, and it turns out to be a non-issue. Well then, I might as well use this armor to practice time reversal. 2 hours later, Yun Chuyang returned to the Draymond Empire Palace and began to report with a serious demeanor. Chenluo didn't fall for Dana's seduction. During their fight, Chenluo used void walking to take Dana away. I couldn't catch up. Therefore, I returned to report the situation to the emperors. I suppose Dana's chances of survival are slim now. Hearing this, the two emperors were visibly shocked, then said, "You may step down now. We understand the situation." At this point, Adolf spoke with a smile. "In that case, I'll have to use my last resort to make Chenluo come to us." Risad quickly responded, "Big brother, as expected. Don't keep me in suspense. What's your plan?" Adolf chuckled. "Do you remember Time Trace, the instigator behind Chenluo's troubles? Third Prince Lei Sane was misled by him, resulting in his downfall. But since then, Time Trace has vanished." Risad nodded. "Of course, I remember. But what about him?" Adolf revealed. "He feared you would punish him, so he sought refuge in our Draymond Empire. I have that guy in my custody now. He is the perfect bait for Chenluo. I'll send someone to relay this information to him right away." Upon receiving the letter from the Draymond Empire, Chenluo read that they were seeking his assistance to investigate the abyss of the destructive law, acknowledging his mastery of void walking with a great god certification. In return, they offered him 3 gifts: the custody of his enemy, Time Trace, a reward of 30 billion purple crystals, and a staff made from rare spatial magic stone to greatly enhance the abilities of a divine-level space practitioner. Intrigued by the offer, Chenluo quickly consulted Rice. "If I go, will there be any danger?" Rice assured him, "You can go. There won't be any danger. But remember, I mentioned that Thunder King might be in danger soon. I feel his crisis is imminent, and he's also in the Draymond Empire. I'm not sure if it's related to your situation." Meanwhile, Thunder King was at a martial arts arena, sparring with an opponent. He defeated a 3-path law expert in an instant with his newly mastered illusionary thunder law, impressing Afra, who excitedly shouted, "Thunder King, you're amazing. You mastered the illusionary thunder law so quickly. Although grandfather is still hesitant to take you as a disciple, there's an opportunity for you to prove yourself. If you succeed, he'll surely accept you. Are you interested?" Thunder King, curious, asked, "Sure, what do I need to do?" Afra replied with a slight smile, "You know Chenluo, right? Grandfather invited him to help investigate the abyss. He will arrive tomorrow, but actually, grandfather plans to strike at him. It's going to be a trap." Hearing Afra's revelation, Thunder King was momentarily stunned, thinking to himself, "As far as I know, Chenluo hasn't provoked them. Why are they planning to put him in such a perilous situation?" Concerned, he quickly asked Afra, "What exactly are you planning to do to this Chenluo?" Afra patted Thunder King's shoulder. "You don't need to worry about that. Just follow my instructions when the time comes." Thunder King nodded in agreement, but internally he was conflicted, thinking, "Damn it, looks like I need to find a way to sneak out. I must inform Chenluo about this trap."